Death Valley National Park has 3 sets of sand dunes. 2, you can just drive to. And then there's this place, which is so remote, there's a good chance no one's been here for days. Pristine doesn't even begin to describe it.
From the intersection of California 190 and the Panamint Valley Road, we head east for 2 miles and turn left on the Big 4 Mine Road. Oh, by the way, the road is unmarked and not exactly well defined where it leaves the paved highway. Once on the dirt, it's abundantly clear why the Panamint Dunes are rarely visited. Where the road swings right, we park in a small clearing. Oh, by the way, this shot is a bit of foreshadowing. More to come later in the video.
Navigation is pretty simple. Just look to the northwest and there's our destination up on the hillside. There is no trail, however, and the route is semi-rugged. Even though the hiking starts out on relatively level ground, we will gain about 1,000 feet before the trip is over.
While this is a cross-country hike, we start on what looks like an official trail. Don't get your hopes up. The path slowly dissolves into the desert floor and we're left only with line-of-sight navigation. But fortunately, the dunes are always visible. It would be hard to get lost. Having said that, I recommend preparing for the return trip by turning around and noting a landmark that's more or less in line with the parking area. I used Telescope Peak, the highest point in the Panamint Mountains.
In case you're wondering, yep, that's volcanic rock. Basalt, I believe. And there are no volcanoes around here. I believe it just poured out of the earth.
And speaking of hot rocks, we hit an early season heat wave on this April day and it's 97 degrees. In a place this hot and this dry, I don't even feel myself sweating. But it's a good bet the liquid is nonetheless draining out of me, hence the need for a lot of water.
Hey, Rich? You need to stop, get some water. Yeah, it looks like there's a nice flat spot there just as the dunes start up. So I think half mile, 3/4 of a mile, and we're done. Easy.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
After about 2 miles, and without feeling the change in terrain, we start to climb above the valley, and pretty soon the hard-packed ground changes to occasionally mushy sand. I'm now starting to feel the ascent, my pack loaded with 5 liters of water, or 10 pounds heavier than it usually is. Finally, we reach our campsite. One spot would have been as good as any other, but this place had a rock. That's it. That was our criteria.
So we said it was a half a mile to this spot, and it was 1.2. It says something about our ability to estimate distance out here. From here, we get a great view of the Panamint Valley. Now, technically, it's not really a valley in the geologic sense, that is, formed by a river. It's known as a graben, where the land here sank while the mountains were uplifted by seismic activity. That was in the Pleistocene era, or from 1.2 million to 10,000 years ago. At the time, there was a chain of lakes that ran all the way from the Mono Basin north of here, near where Yosemite National Park is now, to south to Ridgecrest. All that water came from melting glaciers.
The hiking isn't over for the day. There's still the matter of bagging the highest dune, which is approximately 400 feet above us. The elevation, however, is a shifting target and changes with the wind. This is a fairly leisurely stroll for most of the way, and so long as I stick to the ridges instead of going directly up the slopes, the sand is relatively firm. I recommend doing this in the late afternoon or early evening when the low-angled light brings out all the curves in the dunes. It's good for photography.
The dunes are plopped atop a large alluvial fan coming off the Panamint Mountains above us. Normally you don't even see sand dunes on a mountainside like this, but the conditions are unique. Winter winds blow small particles of sand coming from alluvial fans down in the valley below toward here. And when that wind hits the mountains, it loses its oomph and drops the sand. That process, by the way, started some 23,000 years ago when the lakes I mentioned earlier started drying up. I had some decisions to make before going on this trip, all of them having to do with pack weight. I guess I had 3 priorities. Bring enough water to survive. That's a lot of water. Bring enough camera gear to properly record this trip. That's a lot of camera gear. And to comfortably sleep at night. I decided I could compromise on that last item. So I didn't bring a heavy tent, and I'm going to sleep under the stars on a mattress of sand. I guess I'm going to be connecting tonight with the universe in all sorts of ways. I specifically chose this date, a couple days before the full moon, so that I could prance about the dunes under the moonlight and take a few nocturnal photographs. Now here's a tip if you'd like to do the same, but you don't want to stay up half the night waiting for the moon to rise. Time your trip a couple of days before the full moon, because that magic orb will rise about 2 hours earlier in the day, but at night will be just as bright as the official full moon. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is just so gorgeous.
While we might have wanted to leave this morning before the heat cranked up to the previous day's 97 degrees, I couldn't help myself. I had to wander about the dunes one last time. In a way, it seems almost a crime to mar the sand with my footprints. Oh, what am I saying? It will all smooth out in a day or two. Such is the relationship this place has with permanence and mutability. Neither are what they seem.
Oh, considerably lighter.
If nothing else, the return trip is easier with all the walking downhill or on the level. You would think we have nothing to worry about except finding the car, which is somewhere out there. Even that isn't much of a chore.
That was a great hike. Unfortunately, it's not ending so well.
It's the hiker's worst fear. That and the car not starting. Okay, well, at least the car started.